I was contemplating whether or not to separate King Piccolo or like split it up somehow here. We have here King Piccolo obviously on the season 4 cover, which I'm showing again, which was also the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai's cover, because part of both are in this same season. The part of the 22nd is at the end of the 3rd season, yes, and part of King Piccolo is in the 5th season, unless you consider that the King Piccolo arc is concluded with the death of King Piccolo, in which case then you would say that this is the only portion that has King Piccolo, because he does die at the end of this season. So he's finished at the end of season 4, but when you enter into season 5, Goku's still a kid. He has to go to Kami's lookout and train with Kami, and then he defeats Piccolo. And I thought to myself, is that a complete story? Is the story of Krillin's death leading all the way to the defeat of Piccolo Jr. or Ma Jr., which I'll be calling Piccolo Jr., Ma Jr. for the 23rd tournament arc? And then I realized, no, it's popularly split up into the King Piccolo arc and the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai arc. But the thing was, what should I put the Kami's training portion into? Because Kami directly ties into the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, but Kami also is where Goku goes after defeating King Piccolo. Is it its own season? No, because most of Kami's training in the anime is filler. Yeah. We have here, I have here a copy of Volume 14. This is pretty banged up. It's the very first version. I have a couple replacement copies of some of my oldest copies of the manga, but this one is the one I never got a replacement for, so you're looking at the very early era copy of Volume 14 here. This is pretty old because it still says $7.95 on the price tag here, so that's, yeah. And I really love this one, but we're going to get into this one for the 23rd. So obviously by Volume 14 we are showing the 23rd art style. However, the bulk of Volume 14, well, not the bulk, but a great portion of it is the fight with King Piccolo, and then training with Kami. So basically, Goku does not grow up. We do not enter into the 23rd until about this part of the way through. So over half of this is still the fight with King Piccolo, and then the training with Kami. The training with Kami portion is about here. This much of it. So a couple chapters, just a few pages. It's not that much at all. But I decided, you know what? No, because the ending of the Kami's training portion ends with Krillin being brought back to life. So I thought that's the perfect bookend. So that's where we're gonna put King Piccolo. King Piccolo is from the death of Krillin to the revival of Krillin. There you go. That's the best portion that I want to put that into. And it covers, like I showed you, up to these three here. Volumes 12, 13, and 14. Now, the ending portion, the ending few chapters of Volume 14 contain the 23rd, such as the beginning couple of chapters of Volume 12 contain the ending portion of the 22nd. So we have basically maybe two and a quarter for the King Piccolo arc. It is, I think, not the shortest. No, the 23rd is definitely probably... No, the Pilaf one is the shortest one. So this one is longer than Pilaf, but I don't know if it's longer than the 23rd. No, it is longer than... Wow, it might just be the same about size. Either way, they're both shorter than the Red Ribbon Army arc. It's a pretty good era, but not as good as the 22nd in terms of fighting until you get to King Piccolo, the actual fight with King Piccolo. But there are a lot of disappointing things here, especially regarding characters like Tien. This little back cover art here of Volume 13 shows the perfect little cover for the King Piccolo saga. Here we have Kid Goku over the front, we have Tien on the side, then we have the new addition here, Yajirobe, who I absolutely loved in his introduction in the anime. The manga shows a very brief fight with him, and then another even briefer fight with him fighting Symbol, one of King Piccolo's minions. And that's it. That's really it for the character. He really does nothing else. After he delivers Goku to Korin's Lookout, he pretty much only leaves to deliver senzu beans, and that's it. That is all his character does. I am very happy to report that when I finally watched the anime, now I have seen various clips and portions of the main story bits of the anime long time ago. I had never seen the filler bits. I had never seen the filler segments of what they did to fill out the anime. So I loved to see that Yajirobe had a lot more to do in the filler segments. He joins Goku on the quest for the holy water, the super holy water, the sacred water. There's two different versions, and in Japanese it's the Chosinsui, the Choseisui. They're both. It's it's very weak. Now Toriyama, I think, mentions it maybe in this volume here. No, maybe it's in the 14th volume. Here. No, it's not. Well, either way, you learn through one of his notes that he was pretty sick around this portion of the story, this King Piccolo portion of the story. He was pretty sick, and he was in ill health, and his story showed the poor health. He was rushing into things. He was pushing a power-up onto Goku that was pretty easy. He just took a drink of super poison water and had stomach troubles all night. And then he woke up super powerful and fought King Piccolo in the end. Tien's build-up was also incredibly disappointing. He goes through his own arc, and this is, I think, might be finally time for me to talk about Tien, or just half of the Tien rant. So let's get the first half of the Tien rant out of the way. During the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, we introduced Tien's character, and he is incredibly blown up to be this magnificent, major, awesome person. But then the King Piccolo happens, and he's very, very not as blown up as we thought he would have been. Especially in the anime portion, where Master Roshi definitely is building Tien up to be a sort of successor to him. Goku may have surpassed him, and Goku may have been capable of defeating Tien in a full one-on-one if there weren't anything if there was no ring out. Tien would have lost that fight, and he'd never believed he won the 22nd tournament. He just won by a technicality. But Roshi believes that Tien has the spirit of the martial artist, whereas Goku just doesn't really. He's not going to open a martial arts school. Tien definitely does, and Toriyama confirms this later on, that Tien will open a martial arts school and continue on the legacy of the Crane Hermit style and all that other stuff. So Roshi was viewing Tien as a sort of successor to that, and he wanted him to survive when he took on King Piccolo. He showed off the evil containment wave, which is what had previously sealed King Piccolo away the first time. Now, story-wise, we know of a thing called Chekhov's gun. And now, the Chekhov's gun is a story trope that honestly is used quite a lot in this series. Toriyama sets something up. Even though he's riding at the seat of his pants, he sets something up, and then he sets something else up. But the thing that he set up first hasn't paid off yet. So that other thing that he sets up isn't really going to go anywhere. He sets up Goku being separated from everybody else. He fights the Elder King Piccolo and he loses. The Elder King Piccolo gathers Goku's Dragon Ball and flies off. And then Goku survives and is taken to Korin Tower. During this time, Master Roshi, Tien, and Chaozu are gathering the Dragon Balls so that they can summon the dragon to defeat King Piccolo. King Piccolo wishes to use the dragon to wish for youth, because he's very old and elderly around the time of his introduction, which is another major difference to his character as the series goes on. Let me find his original look. I think it's in volume 12. Yes, it is in volume 12, so let's find his initial design. Look at how big this boy is. He's sitting in this huge chair. This guy, he dwarfs Piano up to his knee here, man. This guy is huge, but he ends up not being as huge when he finally ends up actually standing up to somebody. Look at another. Here's another one here. When he's sitting in his chair, look at how small the Pilaf gang are compared to King Piccolo. And then when he actually challenges King Piccolo, well, I mean, when Piccolo actually challenges Goku, we also see just how small this guy can be. His size is very inconsistent. So, yeah, that's another thing I wanted to point out. Anyways, Tien, Chaozu, and Master Roshi are gathering the Dragon Balls to stop King Piccolo. King Piccolo goes up there and he swallows the Dragon Balls, so Roshi realizes they're not going to be able to steal the Dragon Balls from him to stop him with the dragon. So Roshi's going to use the evil containment wave. But we've already set up that Goku is on his way to Korin's around the time that this is happening. So we have to pay off Goku going to Korin's and then coming back to challenge King Piccolo. So we know right away that Roshi is going to die here. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. So Roshi fails with the evil containment wave. But we set up another thing. Tien witnesses the attack. He learns the attack. He's going to use the attack on King Piccolo. So we have Toriyama setting up two character plots here. Tien trying to get revenge for the death of Chaozu and Master Roshi, and Goku trying to get the revenge of Krillin. He's not aware of Roshi's death until he gets to Korin Tower. At least I think that's right. So they're both going to be challenging King Piccolo roughly around the same time. Tien's going to get there first, and he trains on a rice cooker, which is the same thing that sealed King Piccolo up the first time. However, the rice cooker that Tien trains on is broken when he arrives in the manga. That was so very disappointing. I was so disappointed in that Tien didn't actually prepare for this, but I don't it's not Tien's fault for that. It's Toriyama's fault. As I said, he was in poor health. He was just trying to move the story along. Tien was never going to defeat King Piccolo. He wasn't even ever going to challenge King Piccolo. If Goku could not defeat the elder King Piccolo, then Tien was never going to defeat the younger, more powerful King Piccolo. We know this. We knew this. So, when the anime adapts this part, they change it up a bit. And I kind of like this. I kind of do. And it shows Tien fighting Drum. And the Drum is another one of Piccolo's minions. And this is one of the things that I do have a point of contention in. I think Tien should have at least defeated Drum. I think he should have at least defeated him, or at least shown his superiority to Drum, so that King Piccolo would have to step in and, like, one-shot him or something. But Tien is defeated easily by Drum in both versions. Tien, in a desperation to get to King Piccolo, decides to use the evil containment wave. Because in this one, the rice cooker is not broken. In the anime, the rice cooker is not broken. I think that was a very good idea to not break the rice cooker. That was a great change. Because it's still going to fail. That's the point, is that it's still going to fail. But the problem that we have here now is that it doesn't kill Tien. He fails the evil containment wave. He misses because King Piccolo destroys the rice cooker. Drum gets in the way of the attack aimed for King Piccolo, meaning Piccolo is free from the evil containment wave, but Tien survives, whereas Roshi did not. I don't know how they were able to explain that. Tien just says, "Oh, I survived somehow." The theory, the lore that I believe this initial attack was supposed to have was that this was not necessarily a key, it's more of like magic spell, shamanism, seal, demonic seals, magic must defeat magic and all that stuff. And the price for this spell was your life, even if you missed. But in this case, it's treating it more like it just costs a lot of ki to seal somebody away, especially if they're stronger than you. So Drum, being the one that Tien captured, almost captured, maybe it's because Drum wasn't that much stronger than him, even though Drum was easily beating the ever-loving crap out of him. Tien was absolutely humiliated here, and that was kind of disappointing to see how this big build-up of a character just gets to show off nothing. He shows nothing off in this finale, in this battle. He does get a save for Goku, where he flies Goku up into the air to avoid one of King Piccolo's attacks, but that's all he does during the actual battle. He doesn't get in a sneak attack or anything like that. And even in Z, during the big fights with Vegeta and Frieza, the side characters do get sneak attacks in. Piccolo gets in on Frieza and Nappa. Krillin and Gohan get attacks in on Nappa while Nappa's busy with other characters. While Nappa is focusing on Piccolo, Krillin gets a sneak attack. While Nappa turns to pay attention to Gohan, Piccolo gets an attack in on his back. While Nappa turns on Piccolo, Gohan hits him. It's a great team effort here that even though this guy is so strong, these other characters are still taking pot shots. In this case, it's just only Goku can fight. I kind of wish Tien would have done a little bit more. I know he's not going to get the win, but at least give him Drum. At least give him Drum, you know? But whatever, it's whatever. Then we end that with the Kami's training, and I really like the filler with the Kami's training here, but I'm kind of on the fence about some of the machines at Kami's Lookout, because Mr. Popo takes Goku into a lot of machine rooms, kind of like time machines and teleportation devices, which kind of ruins the mysticalness of what's going on here, but it's whatever. It's not that important. What is important is that Popo is teaching Goku mindfulness and how to control his ki, how to sense ki, how to sense movement without using his eyes. There's so many training techniques that Popo teaches Goku here that we don't actually see too much of in the actual manga. So I am glad that the anime filled out the Kami's training bit. That whole segment was so much better than the actual King Piccolo fighting segments. The King Piccolo fighting segments weren't the best part at all. Honestly, when King Piccolo becomes young again, when Roshi dies, and once he heads over to King's Castle, it kind of just doesn't really get that interesting. I think Goku's fight with Jr. is far more interesting than his fight with King Piccolo. But that's just me. Either way, King Piccolo is a good arc. It really is. It's not as good as Pilaf. It's not as good as the 21st or the 22nd, and it's not as good as the Red Ribbon Army arc. It is not even as good as the 23rd to me. It is easily the weakest arc in the entirety of OG Dragon Ball, to me, personally. But that's not because I just don't like the big bombastic fighting, obviously, because I think Goku vs. Piccolo, the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, is one of the best fights in this entire portion of OG Dragon Ball. It's one of the best fights. It's got some of the best animation, the Meteor combination, man. It's really good. There's just nothing here on display for Kid Goku versus King Piccolo that really separates it from what the manga did. And the manga has a lot of weak portions due to Toriyama's poor health at the time, which isn't really his fault. It's just he was in poor health and he's a workaholic. He worked through his illness, but it showed in the weakness of the narrative at the time. But so kudos to him for pushing through his illness. I just wish he would have taken it easy and then come back with a better story. You could have put Dragon Ball on a couple week hiatus just to let him recover. I think you should have. Either way, it is what it is. King Piccolo is what it is. Oh, before I close this, let's take a look at some of the vehicles, because we still do have some. There's a vehicle here. That's another good one. Let's see in the title cards, the chapter title cards. Let's see how many chapter title cards we have. Do we have any vehicles in the back here? Do we have this one? Yajirobe driving. Nope. That's disappointing. Chapter 12. Let's see if not Chapter 12. Volume 12. Let's see if Volume 12 has any vehicles. We never see Yajirobe drive this one. This is a motorcycle. Toriyama drew that one. That's a pretty good one. Any other vehicles? Nope. Do we have any vehicles in this one? Of course, this one. I love that one, but we're going to get to that one for the 23rd. We never actually see anybody driving this, but I love this. So I'm just going to go ahead and briefly cover this. I love this dynamic, and I love this setup. This 5-person team is probably always going to be my favorite bit, even though it never really actually happened for an actual arc after the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. This team is perfect for me. Goku, Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, and Chaozu should have been in an arc prior to the Saiyan Saga. In between the 23rd and the Saiyan Saga, they should have put another arc in there with this 5-man team, with Piccolo as a recurring villain maybe. But I really needed this. This looked so good to me. But yeah, let's see if there's any more vehicles. We have welcome back, everybody. No, just it's probably because it's all more serious stuff here, so there's not too much opportunity to draw any vehicles, just more combat. That's disappointing. Well, we'll see if there's any more in the 23rd.